Welcome to the Deep Dive. You, our listener, the learner, you've given us some really fascinating excerpts from Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
Mm-hmm. Quite a lot to unpack there.
Definitely. So our mission today is, well, pretty straightforward. Cut through it all and really nail down the core principles for making personal change that actually, lasts.
Yeah, think of it as a personalized roadmap, just for you, based on this material, to get unstuck, basically.
Exactly. And this source, wow, it covers so much ground, doesn't it?
It really does. Everything from decisions, beliefs, emotions, values, the whole lot.
Right. But we're going to focus on synthesizing that into like practical insights, the stuff you can actually use, hopefully without feeling overwhelmed.
That's the plan. Not just summarizing, but really extracting the fuel for transformation, you could say.
Okay, so let's kick things off. The first big theme that just jumps out is decisions, the power of making a decision.
Absolutely central. It hammers home that knowing stuff isn't enough. Not even close.
Right. Knowledge isn't power until you act on it.
Precisely. And action, well, it starts with a decision. Our whole lives are basically the sum total of our choices.
Conscious or unconscious choices, yeah.
Exactly. If you don't actively choose your direction, you're kind of just drifting, letting other things steer the ship.
So the key insight is taking control through conscious choice. Even doing nothing is a choice, in a way.
It is. It's deciding to accept the default. And the source uses that big example, Eastern Europe.
Oh, yeah, the societal shifts. Powerful.
Driven by people collectively deciding, nope, not accepting this anymore, shows the sheer force of deciding something new.
And it's not just those huge world-changing decisions, is it?
No, not at all. The material makes it clear that even, smaller, everyday decisions ripple outwards,
Yeah.
affect relationships, work, health.
Even just how you feel in the moment.
Exactly. You can decide right now to shift your focus or try to feel a bit better. And it talks about decision-making like a muscle.
A muscle.
Yeah, that needs exercise. If you struggle deciding what to have for dinner, maybe your decision muscle is a bit flabby.
Huh. Okay, I get that. So, make more decisions, get better at it, learn from them.
Right. Practice makes perfect, or at least stronger. And the crucial thing, a real decision.
What makes it real?
It's measured by action. If there's no action following it, it wasn't really a decision, just, a preference, an idea.
Got it. Okay, so decisions are the starting point.
Hmm.
But what actually drives those decisions? The book talks a lot about pain and pleasure.
Yeah, this is presented as, like, the fundamental engine behind all human behavior, everything we do.
Seeking pleasure, avoiding pain. Seems simple, but
Well, the power lies in what we link pain and pleasure to, what we associate them with. That's what really shapes our lives. Those associations aren't fixed.
okay, so we can actually influence our own drivers.
That's the core idea. You can consciously decide to link pleasure to something like, say, learning. The book gives that example. Imagine if learning felt intensely good.
That would change everything. And it explains how our past experiences build these, what does it call them? Neuroassociations.
Mm-hmm. Like pathways in the brain, the more you use a path, the easier it gets to follow.
So we need to consciously carve new paths.
Exactly. Our brain constantly checks those old pain-pleasure files from the past.
Right. So to change, we need to disrupt the old links and build new ones.
That's the model. Take dieting, for instance. Willpower alone often fails, right?
Usually.
Lasting change comes when you deeply link pain, maybe feeling sluggish, or health risks to the unhealthy food, and real pleasure, vitality, energy to the healthy stuff, until your actual desires start to shift.
Makes sense. It even mentions advertising doing this constantly.
Oh, yeah. Linking products to excitement, status, comfort, trying to wire our associations. These forces are always working, often, under the surface.
Okay, so decisions are driven by pain pleasure, which are shaped by our associations, which come from experience, and then come beliefs, the next big piece.
Beliefs, yeah, described as incredibly powerful. They can build you up or totally hold you back.
And they come from how we interpret things that happen to us.
Right. Our interpretations solidify into these core truths, which then guide everything. The source has some really moving stories.
Yeah, people turning immense pain into empowering beliefs, helping others.
Exactly. It shows that beliefs are like the software running your life. You've got to find the outdated programs and install better ones.
And it's not just mental, right? The mind-body connection.
Right.
Beliefs affecting health.
Definitely. The material strongly suggests that link. It mentions psychoneuroimmunology.
Right, the fields studying how thoughts impact the immune system.
Yeah, basically showing our beliefs can literally impact our physical well-being. It's increasingly validated.
So how do we form these beliefs?
Yeah.
Experience, What others tell us?
All of the above. Personal experience, info from others, even just our imagination. And emotional intensity seems key. The stronger the feeling, the deeper the belief gets lodged.
It also questions being too realistic, doesn't it?
Yeah, suggesting realistic beliefs are often just based on past limits. Optimism, vision, they can actually pull us forward.
Which links back to reframing failure. Seeing setbacks as learning, not the end of the road.
Huge. That shift alone is a game changer. It's about spotting the difference between beliefs that limit you, disempowering ones, and beliefs that fuel you, empowering ones.
And actively swapping them out.
Right. One way is to model successful people. Find out what they believe, like the Ford example.
With Deming's philosophy, yeah. Changing their core beliefs about quality turned the company around.
A massive shift, and that leads right into hairdo.
Constant and never-ending improvement.
Exactly. A discipline fueled by empowering beliefs. Always growing, always improving. The source gives examples too, like if-then beliefs, global beliefs.
And that amazing story about Marva Collins.
Oh, incredible. Her unwavering belief in her students' potential just transformed their results. A real testament to belief in action.
And it even touches on cultural beliefs, like how different cultures view grief.
Right. Shows how our environment shapes these filters too. Beliefs are the lens we see the world through.
Okay, so it's all connected. Decisions, pain, pleasure drivers, foundational beliefs. Now, the practical bit.
Mhm.
How do we actually change when we're stuck in old patterns?
Well, the source says the hardest step is often just making a real commitment, a true, unwavering decision to change.
Okay. And then it talks about false neuroassociations, misinterpretation.
Yeah, where we mistakenly link things, like the example of someone linking the pain of breakup to the passion they felt. That mix-up can sabotage future relationships.
Ah, I see. And then there are mixed associations. Pain and pleasure linked to the same thing.
Right, like money, for some people.
Hmm.
Creates internal conflict, holds them back.
So how do we break free? It mentions leverage.
Yes, leverage, crucial tool. But it's not about someone else pushing you, it's internal motivation.
Okay.
True leverage comes when the pain of staying the same becomes absolutely intolerable. It connects to your identity, who you see yourself as.
And it mentions secondary gains too, like hidden benefits of staying stuck.
Mm-hmm. Really insightful. Maybe someone gets attention when they're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Unconsciously, that can reinforce the pattern, even if they consciously want to change.
That makes change harder.
Mhm.
Wow. And the chocolate aversion therapy anecdote.
Huh. Yeah, pretty extreme, but it makes the point about creating intense leverage.
So create leverage, then what? Interrupt the pattern.
Exactly. Interrupt and scramble the old, limiting ways of feeling and acting. It briefly mentions NASI neuroassociative conditioning as a specific process for this.
We don't need the full details, but the idea is rewiring those connections.
Right. And critically, just stopping the old isn't enough. You must replace it with a new, empowering alternative.
And reinforce the new one.
Yes. Reinforce it, repeat it, reward yourself for the positive changes. Make that new pathway strong.
Like building a new habit, a new neural pathway. Okay, so we have tools for change. Now let's talk focus, the power of the questions we ask ourselves.
Huge impact. The questions we habitually ask ourselves literally direct our thoughts. And our thoughts create our feelings, our states.
So bad questions lead to bad feelings.
Pretty much. Disempowering questions spiral downwards. Empowering questions shift focus immediately towards solutions, possibilities.
Like the relationship example. Focusing on doubts versus looking for things to appreciate. Big difference.
Massive. And that story about Trump during a financial crisis, asking, how can I get rich while everyone else is afraid?
Yeah, that's a bold question. Reframes everything.
Totally. Shows how a question can instantly redirect your mental energy. So the idea is to consciously choose better questions. Condition yourself to ask them.
There's that anecdote about the plagiarism issue too, right? Asking empowering questions about the person involved.
Right. Shifting his own emotional response by changing the questions he asked about the situation and the person.
And Walt Disney using questions to tap into his teens' creativity.
Yeah, shows the versatility. Then there's the power of presupposition in questions.
Meaning the assumptions baked into the question itself.
Exactly. The way you phrase it can subtly influence beliefs about what's possible, often works subconsciously.
So be mindful of our questions. And it suggests morning and evening questions, like a ritual.
A success ritual to deliberately cultivate positive states. Asking about gratitude, what you enjoyed, commitments, starting and ending the day with intention.
That feels very practical. The conscious choice about your internal dialogue. Okay, next up, Transformational vocabulary and metaphors. How our words shape things.
Yeah, this is fascinating. The specific words we use to describe our experiences literally mold our reality and our
The
emotions.
intensity matters.
Hugely. Choosing less intense words can lower the negative charge, and more intense positive words can amplify good feelings. The source even gives lists of words with different emotional weights.
Like reframing I'm furious to I'm a bit annoyed or upset to concerned in business.
Exactly. Simple shifts, but they manage the emotional temperature. And then life metaphors.
The underlying metaphors we live by, like life is a battle.
Right. That core metaphor shapes everything, thoughts, beliefs, actions. If life's a battle, you approach everything differently than if, say, life is a dance.
And we can change these metaphors.
The source says yes. By asking better questions, becoming aware of them, and consciously choosing more empowering ones. Like, life is a gift or life is an adventure.
And that anecdote about interrupting the guy with white it out.
Yeah. Shows how a quick, vivid metaphor can instantly shift someone's state. Bypasses logic, connects differently.
So words and metaphors are tools for managing our internal state.
Okay. What about emotions themselves? It reframes negative emotions.
Calls them action signals, a really useful reframe.
Instead of bad things to avoid, they're messages.
Exactly. Valuable information. Telling us something needs attention, maybe a value is being crossed or an expectation isn't met.
And it outlines messages for things like fear, frustration, anger.
Briefly, yeah. Fear might signal needing preparation. Frustration might mean your current approach isn't working. Try something else. It's about listening to the signal, not just reacting to the feeling.
And then it offers emotions of power, positive alternatives. States like love, gratitude, curiosity, determination, flexibility, confidence. These are states we can choose to cultivate.
Choose. How?
Through decision and also through physiology, changing your posture, breathing, movement. We have more control over our feelings than we often think.
So, understand the signal, then consciously shift to a more resourceful state.
That's the essence of it. Be proactive, not just reactive, with your emotions.
Okay, managing the internal world, now shifting focus outward, creating a compelling future, goals.
Yeah, this is crucial. The importance of setting big, inspiring goals. Goals that really stretch you, pull you forward.
Goals that ignite passion, like that O.J. Simpson story from when he was a kid.
Exactly. Finding that magnificent obsession, something that truly excites you. It addresses the fear of disappointment, too.
People avoiding big goals because they might fail.
Right. But it counters that by saying the pursuit itself is often where the real rewards are, like that unexpected, amazing experience in Fiji while chasing a different goal.
So the journey matters as much, maybe more, than the destination.
Often, yes. The person you become along the way. And the Peter Guber Batman story.
Persistence.
Oh,
Holding on to that compelling vision.
tenacity. Never letting go of something that truly matters to you. The source suggests goal categories, too.
Career, adventure, relationships, growth, health.
Right. And stressing the need to write them down. Not just think about them. Write them down with the powerful reasons why you want them. Connect the emotion.
And then program yourself for success.
Yeah, clearing roadblocks mentally, committing fully, vividly rehearsing success in your mind, making it feel real in your nervous system before it happens.
So goals provide direction and fuel. Okay. Next, back to focus. Mental diet and problem solving.
This is about consciously managing your thoughts day to day. The 10-day mental diet idea.
Trying to eliminate unhelpful thoughts and feelings for 10 days straight.
Basically, yeah. A conscious effort to focus only on solutions, not problems. Taking control of your habitual mental chatter.
What if you slip up?
It says that's normal. The key is catching yourself immediately and refocusing. It acknowledges the obstacles too: laziness, fear, limiting beliefs.
The usual suspects that keep us stuck.
And it points out how stress often comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
So shifting focus to the present or a positive future can change your state right now.
Exactly. And it really reinforces that small daily decisions shape our destiny. Avoiding short-term pain often leads to bigger, long-term problems.
It challenges that idea you need some huge heroic act to fix things.
Yeah. It's the consistent, cumulative effect of small, conscious choices, cultivating that resourceful mental state every day.
Okay, this is building a really clear picture. Now, the master system, the underlying framework.
Yeah, this is like the operating system running your inner world. 5 key parts interact.
Okay, what are they?
Your emotional states, the questions you habitually ask, your core values, your personal rules, and your references, your significant past experiences.
State, questions, values, rules, references.
Got it. And understanding how the system works in you and learning to tweak those parts is key for lasting change.
Like the example of overcoming fear of rejection by changing beliefs about handling emotions.
Right. Change one part and it affects the others. The Date with Destiny seminar is mentioned as a deep dive into your own master system.
And it explains how references past experiences shape our beliefs and rules.
Even small things, like leaving a note or a bad experience with cockroaches, can create rules or beliefs that affect future evaluations.
So understanding this system lets us move from being run by it to consciously designing it.
That's the goal, becoming the architect of your inner world, not just a passenger.
Okay, let's zoom in on some of those master system parts. First, values.
Values are presented as your personal compass. They guide decisions, priorities, your whole destiny, really.
And living out of sync with your values leads to frustration.
Deep frustration, a sense of something missing. It distinguishes moving toward values, the positive states you want, like love, success, freedom.
And we have a hierarchy. Some are more important than others.
Exactly. And that hierarchy can change. The Angelina Jolie leaving Disneyland example.
Yeah, that was surprising, but it showed her values shifting.
Right. It illustrates how powerful values are in driving choices, even unexpected ones. And it stresses pursuing the end value, the feeling, not just the means you think will get you there.
Like wanting freedom, not just the money you think buys freedom.
Precisely. And you shared your own experience of redefining your value hierarchy, right? Shows it's possible to consciously shift priorities.
And then there are moving away from values, things we want to avoid.
Yes, like rejection, failure, anger. Understanding both sides, what you want and what you want to avoid, gives a fuller picture of your motivation.
Okay, values guide us. Next element, rules.
Rules are the specific, often unconscious criteria we set for feeling our values are met.
Like, I'll only feel successful if X, Y, and Z happen.
Exactly. And these rules are often totally arbitrary, and we don't even realize we have them.
The CEO example was great. His rule for success was just above ground.
Yeah.
Simple, but effective.
Haha. Yeah. But the source warns that rules that are too tough, too rigid, or impossible
Lead to disappointment, learn helplessness.
definitely. If your rule for happiness is impossible to meet or depends entirely on others, you're setting yourself up to fail. Like the woman with the super complex rules for attraction.
Vain relationships impossible for her. So how do we know if a rule is good or bad?
Is it achievable? Is it within your control? Does following it make you feel good consistently? If not, it might be disempowering.
The example of Lori changing her values and her rules showed how that works.
Yeah, practical illustration of adjusting the rules to better serve the values and conflicting rules in relationship.
Big source of problems if they're not communicated.
Absolutely. You need to communicate your rules, your expectations. The source also contrasts should rules versus must rules.
Must, having more power to drive action.
Much more. Must implies non-negotiable. And the George Bush WWII example.
Showed how intense experiences can forge powerful, lasting rules based on references.
Right. Which leads us to the next piece, references.
The building blocks.
Yeah.
Significant past experiences.
Exactly. They form the foundation for beliefs, rules, values. But crucially, imagination can create references too.
Ah, so we can imagine success vividly enough for it to become a reference.
Potentially, yes. The Roger Bannister 4-minute mile story.
Classic example of breaking through limiting references held by everyone.
Right. And repetition helps create new references. Small wins build up.
Like the woman who reframed a painful past experience.
Yeah, by focusing on the support she got and her own resilience, she chose to create an empowering reference from a tough time.
So limited references mean a limited life. We need to actively seek new experiences, new ideas.
That's the message. Our references are the proof our brain uses. Expand the proof. Expand what you believe is possible.
Okay, master system covered. Now, a really big one, identity.
Identity. Presented as foundational. It shapes all the other master system elements. It's who you believe you are at your core.
And we strive to act consistently with that identity.
Deeply driven too. Even if the identity is limiting. That's why lasting change often requires an identity shift.
Like moving from seeing yourself as a smoker to a healthy person.
Exactly. Or the example of the psychological warfare. Shifting prisoners' identities. Stark, but shows the power.
Wow. And small commitments can lead to bigger identity-consistent actions.
Yes, it builds momentum. Midlife crises are mentioned as potential identity conflicts, and Jean Valjean and Lasme.
a huge identity transformation.
A classic example. The source gives questions to help you define your own identity, stressing it's a choice.
Not fixed. We can change who we believe we are.
That's the empowering message. Deborah's story linking pain to being a wimp and choosing a new identity.
And then using that new label consciously, living into it.
Right, and identity shouldn't be static. It should expand over time for a richer life. You shared your current identity too.
Yeah. It feels like consciously choosing and evolving your identity is maybe the deepest level of change.
It's incredibly powerful, the core of who you perceive yourself to be.
Okay, wow. We've dug deep into the core concepts. The excerpts also touch on mastering specific life areas, right? Let's briefly cover those. Emotions mastery first.
Yeah, kind of a recap. Changing how you feel drives behavior. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Consciously choose desired states. Don't get stuck in just a few familiar emotions.
Then physical health mastery.
Focus on results here. Health, internal well-being versus fitness, external performance. Benefits of aerobic and anaerobic exercise. Tapping aerobic capacity. Boosting HGH naturally through sleep and exercise. Potential for vital aging if we take control now.
Relationship mastery. Any quick tips from the source?
Simple but effective stuff. Increase appreciation, ask empowering questions, communicate resistance softly, plan regular date nights, daily physical intimacy, nurture the connections.
Financial mastery.
Key is linking pleasure to financial success freedom, pain to insecurity. Challenge scarcity beliefs, think abundance, value creation, economic alchemy. Add value continuously. Have a clear spending investment plan. Invest a fixed percentage upfront. Power of compounding. Avoid common mistakes. Seek guidance. Protect assets. True wealth is a feeling of abundance.
Then living your code of conduct.
Consciously choosing positive emotional states to experience daily. Committing to feel, say, grateful and determined each day, regardless of circumstances. Taking control of your emotional baseline.
Mastering time and life.
Using time wisely. Remembering time is partly mental focus determines experience. Small daily decisions create long-term results. Don't wait for big events to solve problems. Focus on the present. Anticipate consequences.
And finally, the ultimate challenge, contribution.
Presented as the path to deepest fulfillment. Define your own hero, someone who contributes beyond themselves. Change is possible even on big issues by shifting beliefs, values, identity. Individual actions matter, like conserving resources. Teach children by example. Contribute time resources. True fulfillment from unselfish giving. Be a hero. Strive for balance, not perfection.
There's also a note on faith and perspective.
Acknowledging some things are unknowable. Need faith sometimes. Trusting that even bad experiences offer learning. Often the worst times are the best teachers.
And it ends with living fully.
Yeah.
Nadine Stair's reflections.
Yeah, a beautiful reminder to experience life fully. Consider how you want to be remembered. Live that way now. How we live matters more than how long. Embrace the anticipation, the journey.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot. And an incredibly rich framework from these excerpts. The main takeaway for me is just that sense of empowerment.
Right, that the power to change is truly within you.
Through decisions, understanding pain, pleasure, beliefs, values, consistent action, it all connects.
Exactly. Hopefully this deep dive gave you, the learner, a shortcut to grasp these core ideas, some aha moments, some practical takeaways.
So as you reflect on all this, what stands out most for you? What resonates right now? And maybe a final thought to chew on. What's one small conscious decision you could make today, based on all this, that would start shifting things onto a more empowered path for you?
Great question to ponder. Thank you again for sharing the sources and joining us on this exploration. We hope it sparked some valuable insights.
And hey, if you have other topics, other sources you want us to dive into, just let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep awakening that giant within.